guys, welcome back to my channel. So thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you're all doing really well. So let's just excuse the fact that I literally look about 10 years old right now. I've got a big comfy jumper on. This is actually from Topshop, and then I've got a cup of tea, and it's a really hot day outside, so I'm boiling hot right now because I've got the sun coming in through the window, I've got a cup of tea, I've got a big jumper on, and I've got lights blinding my eyes. So yeah, I probably didn't really choose the right day to film this video, but we're gonna go with it. So as you can tell from the title of this video, today I'm going to be filming a half high-end, half drugstore makeup tutorial, which I'm pretty sure I have never filmed before. I could be wrong, it might have been like a really long time ago that I did it, but I can't recall ever filming a video like this, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. So I'm just going to pin my fringe back firstly because it needs to be out of the way. So if you've never watched one of these types of videos before, the idea is basically just to create a full face of makeup, so a makeup look. It should all look the same on both sides, except one side you only use drugstore products and then the other side you only use high-end products. So I'm really excited. I've got a lot of makeup in front of me, so it's also a good way to like find out dupes for different products, and yeah, it just kind of proves a point about high-end and drugstore makeup. So I'm going to jump straight in with the video. First of all, I'm going to prime my skin. So the high-end primer I'm using today is the Mercier Radiance primer. So this one just makes my skin look really radiant, as it says on the tube. I need to remember to only put it on half of my skin. This is going to be really strange. But yeah, I just feel like my makeup always goes really well and sits really nicely on my skin when I've used this primer. So I'm going to be popping that on one side of my face. So this is the Collection Primed and Ready Reviving and Anti-Fatigue Illuminating Primer. So again, basically just like a brightening, illuminating primer. So I'm going to put that on this side of my skin. I must admit, I don't really use this one as much. I do tend to use a lot more high-end primers, but I have used this one before and I do really like it. And I feel like if you're looking for a drugstore alternative to the Mercier one, this one definitely would be a good choice. So now my skin is primed and ready, I'm going to go on to foundation. The high-end foundation I'm using today is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid. I've actually got two different colours here because I'm currently mixing them. I've got an NW13, which I'm going to take a little bit of, and then also an NW10. So I don't have any fake tan on at the moment, as you can probably tell. I'm a lot more pale than usual. Okay, and to blend that in, I'm just going to do my usual. I've got a damp beauty blender, and I'm just going to push that into my skin. It probably still will look a little bit too dark for me, but I don't want to look like an actual ghost, so I don't really mind if it's a little bit too dark. So then for drugstore foundation, I'm using the Bourjois City Radiance foundation. I actually found it quite hard to choose a foundation to use from the drugstore, just because I don't really use any drugstore foundations. I pretty much only use MAC really. So yeah, it was quite hard to choose one, but I feel like out of all of them, the Bourjois City Radiance foundation is number one, a good colour match for my skin. It also is definitely the one I would pick if I were to choose one that was closest to the MAC Fix Fluid. I just feel like the results are quite similar, the finish is quite similar, and also the coverage as well. So that's what I'm popping on that side of my skin. The foundation's done. I look a slightly strange colour, but we're just going to ignore that. I'm now going to move on to concealer. So high-end concealer I'm using, the Urban Decay Naked Skin, and I'm just going to pop that underneath my eyes to brighten up a little bit. And so that's just helped to brighten up the skin around my eye a little bit. And then on my drugstore side, I'm using the L'Oreal Lumi Magique Concealer, which is one I haven't used in ages actually, but I do really love this. It's a nice one to use under the eyes. It's slightly darker than the Urban Decay one. It's not as pale, so it probably won't brighten up my skin as much as the Urban Decay one, just because it is a little bit darker, but I do get pretty similar results from the two. Okay, now that's done, I'm going to set it all in place. I'm going to use my MAC Mineralise Skin Finish in the shade Light. This is just a powder that I like to pop underneath my eyes to set my concealer. So I'm going to use that just under this eye. And then I'm also just going to put a little bit on my forehead, just because ever since I've had a fringe, the skin on my forehead tends to get a little bit oily. So I'm just going to set that. And then for my drugstore side, I'm using my Soap&Glory One Heck of a Blot powder, which is pretty much the same as the MAC one. I think I've talked about these two in videos before, sort of comparing them, because they are so similar, and I just think that it is a really, really good dupe. So next up is eyebrows, and I do feel like I'm cheating a little bit on this because the only product I like to use on my eyebrows is the Soap&Glory Brow Archery, which you guys know. So I am going to be using it on both sides of my face just because I am possibly going out later, and I knew that if I used two different brow products, my eyebrows would literally look terrible. Plus, I don't really own any high-end brow products apart from one from MAC that I'm not a massive fan of. So yeah, I'm going to be using this on both of my eyebrows. So my eyebrows are done. I know they don't look great, but I really don't care. I'm now going to move on to eye makeup. So I'm going to be using two different eyeshadow palettes today. The first one I've got is my high-end palette, and this is my Zoeva Cocoa Blends palette. So this is what it looks like inside. Really, really beautiful colours. There's a few like warm tones, and then there's some purples and stuff. And then for my Drugstore palette, I'm using the MUA Romantic Efflorescence palette, which I think I've featured in a video before. This is a really, really gorgeous one, and honestly it's so affordable. I can't open it though, that's the only problem. Okay, so it looks like this inside. Again, you've got really beautiful warm colours, and you've got quite a few purple tones in there as well. And today I'm going to be doing like a purpley toned look just because my jumper's purple and I want it to match. So I'm going to be using my high-end palette first. So I'm using the soft creamy coloured shade just as a base for my eyelid. And then I'm going to go in with this purpley shade at the bottom, which is called Delicate Acidity. And this is just a really gorgeous mauvey purple. And I'm going to pop that through the crease. And these colours blend so easily, so it's really easy to get a nice soft eye look. And then I'm just going to keep adding that colour just on the outer corner until I'm happy with how dark it is. And then I'm going to take a blending brush and just make sure that that's all blended. Okay, and then I want to darken it up a bit, so I'm going to use this shade here, which is called Infusion. It's like a sparkly, I want to say like almost black colour, but it doesn't really show up black on the skin, so I'm just going to darken that up. And then I just want to take a small little pencil brush and take some of that lilac shade and pop it underneath my lower lash line. And then I'm going to go in with a MAC pigment, and this is in the shade Kitschmas, which looks like this. I used to use this so much on my channel. It's honestly one of the most beautiful colours I've ever seen in my life. I need to find a brush. It's like a really gorgeous lilac-y shade, and I'm going to take some of that onto a brush and just pop that on the centre of my eye, and then kind of drag it towards the inner corner. Okay, so that is that eye done. I'm then going to copy exactly what I've done on this eye onto my Drugstore eye. So I'm going to go straight in with a creamy sort of shade, pop that all over my eyelid. And then I want to take a lilac-y shade, so I'm going to use this one here, which I know is a little bit darker than the one I used on my other eye, but I'll just blend it out a lot more. So just pop that into the crease. So I'm just blending that out, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit more purple and just keep darkening it up. And then I'm going to take that same pencil brush and put some of that purple underneath. And then I'm going to take some of this dark grey colour and just darken up the crease with it a little bit. And then as my dupe for the MAC pigment, I've got a really beautiful product from NYX. This is one of the NYX pigments, and it's in the shade 09. And I'm just going to tap a little bit out onto a tissue, because this one actually has like a little tappy thing rather than just dipping your brush into it. So I'm going to tap some of that out onto a tissue. I'm honestly so amazed at how similar these two products are. I just think like they look exactly the same on my eyes, and it was such a different price. So if you want to try one of the MAC pigments, I would say maybe try one of these ones first and see how you get on with it, and then if you like it, obviously like treat yourself to a MAC one. But these two are pretty much the exact same product. Okay, I'm now going to pop some eyeliner on, and again, I am slightly cheating. I'm only going to use one product, but it is Drugstore. This is the Soap&Glory Supercat Skinny Liner. You guys know it's literally the only eyeliner I will go near. I don't actually own a high-end eyeliner, so if you have got one and you really enjoy it and you think I might like it, then definitely let me know down below, because I would like to invest in one, but this is just the only one that I found I really love. Okay, eyeliner done. I'm now going to move on to mascara. I'm just going to quickly curl my eyelashes first. Okay, so for mascara, on the high-end side, I have gone for my Benefit Roller Lash Mascara. I know some people class Benefit as like a drugstore product because you can buy Benefit in Boots, but I personally think it's the price of a higher end product, so I've gone for it on my high-end side. Oh, brilliant. That's just what I wanted. Oh, I let my tea go cold. Okay, and then for my drugstore side, the mascara I'm using is the KIKO Unforgettable Mascara, because I was looking through all of my drugstore mascaras and I just felt like this one has the same sort of results as the Benefit Roller Lash. So yeah, I went for this one. Okay, now it's time to bronze up my skin a little bit. So for my high-end side, I'm using my Benefit Hoola bronzer, just because this is an all-round brilliant bronzer and I use it all of the time. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just bronze up the whole of my face, basically, to try and make up for me having no fake tan on. And then for my drugstore side, I'm using my Soap&Glory Solar Powder, which is actually probably not the best choice because this one is a little bit glittery, whereas the Hoola bronzer is completely matte. But I just felt like this was the one I wanted to use, and they are pretty similar and you're not really going to notice the tiny bit of shimmer. Okay, next up is a little bit of contour. I don't really go crazy with contouring like on a day-to-day basis, but for my high-end side, I'm using my Kevyn Sculpting powder, which is what I use all of the time, and I just use a tiny little bit and I literally just put it like there, and that is all I do, and then I go over it with my beauty blender just to make sure that it doesn't look too harsh, and that is literally all I do. And then on my drugstore side, I'm using my Maybelline Master Sculpt contouring palette, which I hardly ever use, but I'm going to use it today, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the contour powder and pop that there, and I feel like that's done a pretty similar job, so I'm just going to blend that in. And now it's time for a little bit of blusher. So for my high-end blusher today, I'm using a MAC one. This is the shade Well Dressed, which is a really pretty sort of Barbie pink colour. So I'm just taking this on a Zoeva sheer cheek brush. And I'm just going to put a little bit of that onto the apples of my cheeks, like so. And then for drugstore, I'm using my new L'Oreal Infallible Blush Paint Palette, which I love. I've been so into this recently, and it smells incredible. It smells like sweets, which is just brilliant. And I'm going to use this shade here, which is probably the most similar to the MAC one. It's just a really pretty pink. And now time for highlighter. So my high-end highlighter, I'm using my Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Pearl, which I am obsessed with. And I'm going to take that on my Zoeva fan brush and just pop that onto the tops of my cheekbones. You guys know that this is literally my favourite highlighter ever. And then I felt like the drugstore alternative would be this, which is the MUA Undress Your Skin highlighter in the shade Iridescent Gold. This is honestly such an amazing highlighter. The packaging is actually broken, but we can just ignore that. And I'm just going to take that on my brush. And it's not as pigmented as the Becca one, but it is pretty close. I feel like the colour is quite similar too, so I definitely think that it's a good choice. I mean, this one is slightly more gold, this one's slightly cool toned, but that's okay, we can deal with that. And then lastly, we're going to do lipstick. So for high end, I'm using a MAC lipstick, of course. It's in the shade Really Me, which is kind of like a nudie pink colour. I think I'm going to put this on my top lip and then the drugstore one on my bottom lip. And so the drugstore lipstick I'm using is the Kate Moss Rimmel lipstick in the shade 45, which is just quite a similar colour. It's a little bit more glossy than the MAC one because that's a matte lipstick, but this is a really similar colour, so I'm going to use this. So that is my finished makeup tutorial. I really hope that you guys found this video helpful or interesting in some way. So as you guys know, this side was my high-end side, and then this side here was my drugstore side. I'm really impressed with the results, to be honest. I feel like both sides of my face look exactly the same. The only thing I would say that is probably slightly different is the highlighter. This side is definitely a lot more gold toned and a bit more warm, and then the highlighter on this side is a lot more cool toned and a bit more white. I'm pretty happy with myself, and I feel like this is a really nice makeup look as well. So do leave any comments down below in the box below if you've used any of these products before, or if you've just got any comments in general, or if you enjoyed the video, that kind of thing. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up down below, and press the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys very soon in another video. Goodbye!